Hello YouTube. I am going to be talking to you today about the tool links that I have been leaving on my Infinite Flight videos. They are Airnav, Wikipedia, Flightaware, and finally Skybrary. If you aren't familiar with them, real quick, Flightaware, you can go to that website to get information on any flight that's arriving or departing most of the airports in the US. There are some flights that can't be tracked, such as I think private planes, things like that, but you can track international flights as well. Wikipedia, just for function's sake, since today we're talking about a particular route in a particular plane, I've already pulled up the Bombardier 200 on Wikipedia. It's the Bombardier CRJ 200, and with that you can read about the history and development of the plane, what we're going to be concerned with today. I would suggest you read all that just to get yourself up to date with any particular plane you're going to be flying. Since I'm making these videos for beginners, start off with the small planes that are on the app, okay, like the Cessna. Click on specifications, and what you're pretty much worried about here is familiarizing yourself with the cruising speed and the flight ceiling, and also the payload weights, things like that, because if you try to fly the planes outside of what it's capable of doing, the app is pretty well designed not to it's not going to work with you. It's just not going to be an agreeable flight. Typically, if you try to fly with a plane that's too heavy, you're going to crash. Either that, or you just won't have as much control over the plane and you'll be landing hard. So that's it for Wikipedia. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Skybrary website. So let's go to the main page before we go to the page concerning the plane's info, so you can see what that looks like. So this is what you type, skybrary.aero, and you will come to the main page, and then there will be a search engine. There you have the search engine. So like I said, since we're working on a particular plane, just type in CRJ 200, and you can type in CRJ2, I would say as well. It's gonna pop up in just a second. I'm underground right now taping. I'm actually physically underground in Washington, D.C. recording this video, so my signal might be a little hanky. And then type on the plane you're interested in this case it's the CRJ 200, and there you have it. It'll pop up. As you see, it's the same plane that's in the app, and on the right hand side it'll give you some real cool specs on the plane. And what we're worried about are not the technical data, but the performance data right here. And why is that important? Because if you're having problems, let's say you've been trying to take off in this plane and you've been taking off faster than V2 plus 15. Let's say you've been taking off at 240 knots and your plane's just about to flip over, or your plane's been scooching off to the right. Well, you're taking off too fast. As you see, V2 indicated airspeed on takeoff is 135. I typically use V2 plus 15 when I take off. Initial climb out to 5,000 is 165. I say this is indicated airspeed. These are all indicated airspeed, so you're talking about that little meter on the right. So let's go look at that right quick. And we scooch over to, I went to Paris with my daughter. That's my daughter right there. We went to Paris on a little trip. So let's go to our heads-up display. and you see this meter where it's at the OAT, that's outside air temperature, 15 degrees Celsius. When you set the temperature, weather, you see it says temperature? When you set that temperature, you're controlling the outside air temperature wherever you happen to be. Whether it's on the ground, it's going to be 15 degrees Celsius, and then what's going to happen, that temperature is going to, of course, drop, but it's going to drop starting at 15 degrees Celsius, and as you elevate, as you go up, say 41,000 feet, of course, by then it's just going to be, if you happen to jump out the plane, like we do when we're flying around in our simulators, we're turning into ice cubes, and we're falling out of the sky. So the indicated airspeed is that shaded area right there. I don't know why this thing says 4, because I'm sitting still. My ground speed right below that, if you see the arrow that's pointing the direction that the wind is blowing, you can set that as well. And my Mach speed is 0.01. Basically, I'm sitting still, okay? And that's where the indicated airspeed will be. That indicated airspeed and the speed right here, you see I'm flashing that for you to see on the right hand side. They will, usually they won't match. They will match typically below 24,000. But once you get above 28,000 feet, they're not going to match anymore. Matter of fact, the higher you go, the less they're going to match. Okay? That's just the way it is. The air gets thinner, you're going faster in terms of your ground speed, but your indicated airspeed, no. But your actual speed, your Mach speed is going to actually pop up when you go past 28,000 feet. It'll start to show. You can keep up with your Mach speed by that meter below, that reader below the ground speed indicator. Alright, so let's go back to our websites. And so, real fast, let's run through this. Initial climb out, we talked about already. So initial climb to 1500, you're going to increase your speed to 250 knots, and your rate of climb is going to decrease from 3,000 feet per minute to 2,500 feet per minute. So when you first take off, you see how you can actually be between 1,500 feet and 3,000 feet per minute. Then you're going to decrease that to 2,500 feet per minute. When you climb to 24 at flight level 240, speed stays the same, but your rate of climb then decreases to 1,500 feet per minute. And then on your Mach climb is going to pop up. That Mach speed indicator, once you get to 28,000 feet, it will pop up. Don't try reaching that by changing the speed indicator yourself. You're wasting your time, because if you do that, if you try to change that yourself and get that speed up, let's say you're sitting there changing that indicator to 440 knots or 400 whatever, 20 knots, what's going to happen is that you're going to go past 28,000 feet, and boom, next thing you know, you're going faster than the speed of sound. Now on this video, I'm not going to call it a game. I don't like to call flight simulators games, but on this flight simulator, you can take the planes, the commercial jets, this jet, all past the speed of sound. Easy. With no sonic boom. Next, let's talk about our cruise altitude and our cruising speed. So once you've reached cruise altitude, the ceiling is 40. You can set your ceiling if you want, 39,000, 40,000, 41,000. You can go for 1,000 miles. You know, so set up a flight plan for 1,000 miles. If you want to keep it realistic, set it for 900 miles before you land. And then your true airspeed is going to be 420 knots, but your Mach indicator that I showed you, you set that yourself at 0.74. On your descent, when you decide now I'm going to start descending, You're going to slow your speed to 0.70. Your rate of descent will be 1,000 feet per minute, no greater. And make sure you aren't in a nosedive, I would say, at 3,000, greater than 3,000 feet per minute. That just will make your passengers vomit. Once you get down to 2,400 feet, level out, and then start another descent. So these are stages. This is just, I would say, examples and whatnot. I would say in the real world, I've seen planes that do a descent from 41,000 all the way down until they've landed. Like I saw I tracked the A380. It did all its descent in 40 minutes and whatnot. It was at 41,000 feet. 40 minutes later, it was on the ground in Frankfurt, just like that. And it never stopped descending. At one point, it was just, I mean, and it was just hauling butt down to the ground. Next, below 10,000. Of course, we know in this application in live mode, you never want to go past 250 knots below 10,000, so make sure you slow. That MCS is the minimum control speed of 190 knots. Now, you also know that's on the rate of descent. You also know that once you're on a final, an approach and landing, of course you're going to be going slower than that. And when you touch down, I've seen 737s touch down at 120 knots on the track and whatnot. So that's basically what you want to use that for. So what this does, it'll help you, and you can use this for any of the planes that you're going to be flying on to help you get greater control of your aircraft and also have a more realistic flight. So let's move on. That's, again, skybrary.aero. Next is Airnav. Airnav.com. What we're going to, oh yeah, by the way, in Airnav.com, if you wanted to find a fix, let's find a fix. We're going to find a fix. So, I know a name of one fix, Sager, right there. Sager. That's one of the waypoints. And pop, it'll show you where Sager is. Everything about it, right there. Okay. There's other websites, of course, like Our Airports, I think is one. Yeah, Our Airports will actually show you like an indicator on the ground, like a cartoon indicator on the ground of where the waypoint is located. It will also show you all the planes flying past that particular waypoint. So right now, for example, on my phone, I'm looking at ourairports.com at GRD. GRD is the Greenwood VORTAC. The Greenwood VORTAC is used when you depart Atlanta Regional. And it happens to not be included on our region map for Charlotte and whatnot. I mean, for the Charlotte region map for, I was about to say Carolina, but it's not there. And neither is the Collier's VORTAC. The Collier's VORTAC is IRQ, and that's used when you're en route to Atlanta Regional. But I'm going to show you how to set up the departure out of Charlotte and the departure out of Atlanta Regional. So that's what you can do on here, is you can find them. But what we're actually doing this for today is we're going to hit that airport. You saw that airports tab, and then we're going to type in there KCLT for Charlotte. You can also type CLT, doesn't matter. But Charlotte Douglas International Airport will pop up, and all the information about it will pop up. You see how it says it's 748 feet above sea level? Wow. Let's go see what Infinite Flight says. Click on that. Map info. Map info. Oh, wow. 749 feet. I'm going to tell you something. The developers of this app, man, these guys deserve an award. The detail in which Yes, maybe they don't have all the regions connected, and maybe we can't fly all around the world at one time. But the detail that is in these regions, you can't ask for more. Okay, there's some sketchy stuff that's not there. Like for example, in the California region, I believe Southern California, John Wayne Airport, it's not runway 19, it's runway 20s. 20 left, 20 right. That was changed some time ago. You also find some airports being listed as asphalt when they're actually concrete. But that's little stuff. It doesn't really matter. But the detail of this app is just phenomenal. It gets 20,000 stars. It's fun. Yeah, we want a real working glass display like they have on that other flight simulator on the mobile platform that I won't name. Explain. I didn't name it, did I? Explain. Alright, so let's look down here what we want to see. I'm on runway 18 left, so we're going to go down here and look at runway 18 left, which is paired with runway 36 right. So it gives you all the details about runway 18 left right here. It'll tell you the runway heading, its magnetic and true heading. It will tell you its elevation. It will tell you what the heck it's made of. Asphalt and concrete. Groove and what condition it's in. The weight bearing capacity. All of that. You see that? These numbers mean something. I haven't taken the time to actually find out what those numbers mean. I plan to do that, but now no. One thing I would love is if we had a FlightAware precision approach path indicator. You can see here the visual slope. I have it at the top. The visual slope indicator is a FlightAware precision approach path indicator in tandem with the fact that there is an ILS in a distance measuring equipment. You see that? So you have instrument landing, and distance measuring equipment on top of the fact that there is a precision approach path indicator. Beginners, what that is used for is to stay on what's called the glide slope. Let's go back to the heads-up display. The glide slope is when you're coming in for landing on the airport. Let's go to the map. You see this triangle here? That doesn't exist in the real world. That's only on flight simulators. Well, the other thing that you can do is throw up the visual aid, those watch boxes. I'm going to go throw those up right quick. I don't use them, okay? They're landing aids, so bam. And I'm going to throw up the yoke indicator because I don't use that either. Where is it? I haven't used it in so long that I've forgotten where it is. If I can't find it, I'm not going to even, I'll look for it one more time. I'm going to go scroll all the way up. Yoke indicator, yoke indicator. I don't see it. I don't use it. Alright, so look. Watch what happens when I go back to... Is it there? Let's jump out the plane and look around. Well, they're not there. I know I turned them on. Let's go back and look again. You know, I haven't used them in so long that they might just be broken or something. Maybe mine are broke. But back in the day, man, when you yeah, they're not there. So I'll give that a big oh well. Maybe when I do my flight video, they'll pop up. So let's go back to the website. I'll leave them on and maybe they'll show up. But with this particular information that's in here, You have all that to help you make good landings. You put that together with the performance data and you will start to make great landings. On our app, Infinite Flight, they only provided us with a 2 light path indicator. 1 white, 1 red means you're on the glide slope. 2 red means you're too low. 2 white means you're too high. I've landed a few times with 1 white, 1 red. It's hard to do because they're constantly flashing. But try to use the lights on where they're available instead of the glide slope and see how well you do. You're going to have to use the one that's showing if you're in the middle of the runway until you get close to the runway to keep your eyes out. But now let's scroll down. Alright, so you see here it says Instrument Approach Procedures, IAPs. You can download the instructions for approach for any of the runways. What they will do is tell you the waypoints you have to be at, where to fly out for missed approach, speed, I believe, things like that. And did I say waypoints? Waypoints, elevation, and speed, and where to fly out on a missed approach. It'll tell you the channels you need to be on and everything that needs to be tuned. And on below that, departure procedures. So if you are really, as you advance in your ability to use that app, if you're looking to make your flights more realistic, you can get the real world departure and arrival instructions and all the information you would need in order. The only thing you're not going to be able to do is fly real people around, because you'll still be sitting at home holding a phone in your hand or whatever tablet you happen to be using until you can get your hands on a real live jet. Man. Alright, next up, we're almost to the good stuff. This is the Charlotte region. This is a real world flight. It's already happened. And as you see, Air Wisconsin 3968, which is United Express. Keep that in your mind. United Express, Air Wisconsin 3968, Canada Air Regional Jet CRJ 200 arrived from Charlotte, North Carolina into Augusta Regional. In this flight, why is this in Chinese? I don't know why that's in Chinese, but it is, as you see. That's in Chinese. You see it in Chinese? All right, so let's look at the route. We're going to keep that there. First, the pilot filed his speed that he would be flying at 370 knots. He said the altitude he'd be flying at is 12,000 feet. The flight lasted 41 minutes. I'm going to show you why in just a second. And the route he flew was the Andes 7 Andes IRQ. And remember I told you the IRQ, which is the Collier's VORTAC, is not on the CLT, is not on the Charlotte region map. But don't worry about it. Also, this is the mobile version of that website. When you look up this website on your computer or your laptop, you'll actually be able to click on that route and look up the waypoints. I've already done that. This is that route. And one of the reasons why I believe this flight took so long, because usually it only takes about minutes, is this bad weather. Look at that bad weather. They flew through what basically was a thunderstorm, or at least right by it. So they had to have a rocky flight. And I'm going to tell you, whoever was on this plane was probably about to crap their pants, because they were eye level with some pretty nasty weather. They weren't that high up. Let's look at their track log. Yeah, they weren't that high up. They flew at 12,000 feet. They were up there from 6:17 p.m. Well, basically, if you want to say 6:16, because they were at 11,000 feet, you can see that 6:16 p.m. until they started their descent at 6:25. So they weren't up there very long, but with that weather, it probably seemed like a freaking eternity. I, for one, I've flown on some small planes, and some of you who have know that small planes for the commercial airlines on the domestic routes, they don't fly that high. And man, one time, and look, I've made a promise that I will never fly out of Philadelphia again, because one time I was flying from Philadelphia to Norfolk, and I look out the window for my plane, and what do I see? A little dinky prop job. I don't remember the airline, so I'm not going to name one, but it was a dinky little prop job, and we flew from Philadelphia to Norfolk, and it had to be the worst weather of the day, and we flew past the world's largest thunderhead. I, of course, have never seen a thunderhead bigger than that one. Of course, it was the biggest thunderhead because I was flying past it, and we were eye level to it, to where the column was rising, and it was lightning and dark gray skies everywhere, and we were in the middle of it, man. And the pilots were up there just shooting the breeze. We were all back there white-knuckled. Man, it was terrifying. So here you can basically copy this in our app, and I'm going to show you why. So let's go back to the map. So there's AGS, you see that? There's CLT, you see that? Great. We are going to go here. Resume, go down to the big map, CLT, and here, over here, is AGS. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is show you the route. Even when, what I've found is that the pilots, let's say they file a flight plan, it might change because of weather changing, and they'll take off, instead of taking off to the south, they take off to the north and just do a big loop and come back around. So I saw this today when I was looking at flight routes. So that first indicator there, that waypoint, that's Hizor, Hizor, however you want to say it. The next one is Nike. Next one is Bayal. I think the next one is going to be Andes or Axel. So let's go to Axel. There's Axel. Bam. And let me push this out. Bayal. Oh yeah, there's BV. That's the next one. Alright, so look at how we're flying. Alright. And the next one is Andes. So remember I said we're on the Andes route. So something I believe is that between BV and Andes, there's what's called a boundary. I can't call it off the top of my head, but you're crossing over this. It's a check-in point. It's a boundary check-in. I'll try to find out what it is, and then I will inform you. All right. So guess what? After Andes, I believe the next one is called IRQ, and IRQ is the last check-in before you get here. But since it's not there, you know what I do is I compensate, and I use, depending on where I'm flying in, and since today I will be flying in from the north, I click on Jovis and use that, and I click on it, and then I click on AGS and add that in. Okay, just like that. And so let me zoom out so you can see, and that's that. And so look at that. That's coming from, and now I'm going to do the one going to. So going to Charlotte, you go click on Charlotte again, add that to there. The next one is up to the north. It's called, I'll know it when I see it, so y'all just bear with me. is JDOG. It's actually IRQ, but remember what I said, IRQ ain't there. It would be out here somewhere. You can see for yourself that it's not there. There's no VORTAC out here. Okay? So we click on JDOG for our next one. UNARM is the next one. This is the route back to Charlotte. ADENA, this is the IRQ ADENA route. ADENA is the next one. And then LOX is the next one. And guess what's happening? We're getting We're getting ready to enter the traffic pattern. And we entered the traffic pattern at Dopsy. Did you see how I just clicked on Dopsy right there? And there is Charlotte. So we put that, that's next. The next one we turn upwind to CDOX. And then lastly, the last one, no, not the last one. Data is the next one. And then the last checkpoint on this is Catan. You see that? So we have the route out and the route back. So I want to show that to you. Right there. So there's that. So observe the route to Charlotte. I'm going to go ahead and click on Charlotte and make that and add that in. So there, we have a full route. So I want you to look at that circuit back. You see that back? Great. Let's go to and look at the map again. And there's that. And you know, when they fly that, of course, you know, I would say they make whatever necessary adjustments they need to, because who the heck wants to fly through that if you don't have to? I would, man, I've been at 36,000 feet with weather a few times, but you know, at least we were in a bigger plane. These are some dinky planes. All right, so once again, that's Airnav for airport information, and Skybrary for the performance data of your plane that you're flying it, and you can get it for any of the planes. Use Wikipedia to get the history of your plane and the specs. Get yourself familiarized with the plane you're flying. Flightaware if you want to track flights or find real life flights, and you can find them between any airport that exists in the regions, you know, like if you want to fly between LAX and San Diego, for example, on a real world flight. Okay? And there you have it. So my next video, I'll be flying from Charlotte to Atlanta Regional in the Bombardier on the, I think that's the ADENA route, I should say. What is that route? That is the, let me get it right, ADENA 7, ADENA's IRQ. Let me click on that and I'll tell you. EcoMouse is a well-known performer from back in the day. Can I back this up and find? No, I can't. I don't know where my my flight went. My flight just disappeared. Because that flight right there is a that flight right there was a Singapore Airlines flight. man, it's just disappeared. Oh, there it is. Flight 3968. That's from yeah, there we go. There we have it. Okay, it's the ADENA 7, and I'm gonna call it Andis route. Andis RQ, that's the route it is. Alright, so my next flight I will be flying from Charlotte into Atlanta Regional on the ADENA IRQ route. So I'll see you then. Goodbye.